Trump was also in the news in the accounting and tax space for promising to end the double taxation on Americans living abroad. So we are one of the 2 countries in the world that tax Americans regardless of where they live based on citizenship. And this policy dates back to the 1860s. It originated during the Civil War when many Americans were living abroad to avoid the war, such as in France. And there are millions of Americans who have to file in the United States. So, perhaps this is like an attempt to get, some of these expats to vote. But it is important to note that the double taxation is fairly rare because you have to earn over $126,500 of foreign earned income before you have to pay tax, because that is excluded. So up to 126,000 is excluded if you're living abroad and earning that money abroad. And then there's also foreign tax credits. So the amount of money that you paid, say, to France, if you're living in France, you get to deduct that from your US taxes. So the folks abroad who end up paying taxes on their income abroad beyond what they would pay if they were just living there without American citizenship, it's pretty, you have to make a lot of money to end up.
It's not really
paying
double
those
taxation.
taxes.
It's just double paperwork because you have to file 2 returns.
Yes. And that's the thing that's really annoying is that as I learned on my Earmark podcast, when I talked to Eric Azevedo, who's a CPA living in Japan, working with expats, great episode. Go check out the Earmark podcast. That's podcast.earmarkcpe.com. Check out that episode and get a free CPE for learning all about it. As I learned from him, I forgot what I was going to say. I learned from him.
About the filing the 2 returns.
Oh, yeah. It's the paperwork is often more expensive than the actual tax you owe, because you end up owing no tax, but you still have to file a bunch of paperwork. So, think about that. Maybe you're paying several $100s or several $1,000s to file your taxes, and you got to do it every year. And a lot of times people forget. They don't understand they have to do this. They don't do it. They get out of compliance. So I actually think it would be a good idea to not require Americans to file the taxes if they are under this threshold, right? Why make them file the forms if they're not going to owe any tax? It's unnecessary paperwork. So
I feel like this is the same game of the only audit people under $400,000. People with means are going to figure out how to play around with this and not have to file a tax return. Oh, well, I lived overseas.
Right. Well, and who would take advantage of this if this did change is
Trump?
Very, very wealthy millionaires
Yes.
and billionaires. Because if we switch to the residence-based system, a guy like Jeff Bezos could just go relocate to, I don't know, some island in the Bahamas, take his yacht from Florida to wherever.
Or you could just live in international waters, right? And not have to pay any tax.
Yeah, pretty much. He could just have a floating city and just have everything delivered by Amazon drones, right? And then, they would not pay tax, obviously, on that. And that is a problem because, we have so many billionaires who choose to have U.S. citizenship. It would create a huge hole in our deficit. And we already have a really big deficit. And do we really need more added to our deficit? Probably not. If we want.
He should do it the opposite way. We should encourage people that come here. We won't double tax them. But that way billionaires move here.
Get more billionaires to move here. Yeah, exactly.